to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I am Reverend Bonnie Rose. It is great to see you here today, and let's give thanks to Todd and Chris for joining us, getting us centered. Thank you. All righty, so I'm going to do some brief announcements, and we'll have the full announcements at the end when more people are here. Okay, so we have a website. How many of you have been to our website? Oh, many. Lovely. Okay. Well, it's www.venturacsl.org. And if you have not been to our website, check it out, because all of the information I'm going to talk about is on our website. And it's also at a desk right through those doors there. So you can get everything that you need there and here as well. So the last day for our outreach, see all these beautiful backpacks? Isn't they wonderful? They're for Casa Pacifica, and they're for children that may not have the resource of school supplies and what have you. So we're offering them to them through us. Boy, I needed a little more caffeine this morning. I think I'm really struggling. Maybe things will shift before I pray for me, is what I say. Okay. So this Sunday is the last day to bring in backpacks. So just go, if you've got backpacks, put them up on the stage at the end of the service. And then we've got so many volunteer opportunities. We've got technology opportunities, Circle of Blessings, which is helping people that are struggling with health issues and whatnot. Choir, all kinds of wonderful things. If you've got a talent and you want to use it in service to this community, we can find a spot for you. Choir rehearsal is today from 11:30 to 12:30. And on the third Wednesday of every month, we have a science and spirituality discussion group, and that's taking place. The next one is on September 18th. One more thing, we're inviting people again to look at their hugging behavior. Occasionally we get a complaint that somebody has hugged a little too, shall we say, vigorously. And so there's a twofold process to that. One is to be respectful of the way in which we hug people, perhaps even ask, do you want a hug? And then if they say yes, give them a respectfully distanced hug, unlike the one going on in the back right now. The other part of that, though, oh my goodness, my eyes. The other part of that is if you don't want a hug, or if somebody's hugging you in a manner that doesn't feel safe or good to you, you can just say, hey, back off, buddy. Okay? Back off, buddy. Let's try that together. 1, 2, 3.
Back off, buddy.
There you go. Easy as that. Okay. What's next? Mr. Bill. Do you want to hug me?
No, thank you.
Back off, buddy.
Back
Good.
off.
Look at that. Thank you.
All right. Jax, Owen, you guys want to come up? Jared, anybody else? As I said, Bonnie said, I'm Bill Hadris with Youth and Family. Oh.
Hey, Jax. Hey, Jared. Good to see you.
Thanks for coming, guys. All right. Got control. Hey, Owen, come on over here. I got a spot
Hi,
right here
Owen.
next. Don't let her hug you, though. All right. So in our series, The Little Spot, we're going to talk about the little spot of sadness today. So the little spot of sadness shows up whenever someone feels upset, disappointed, or maybe even experiences loss. You will see both small spots of sadness and large spots. But when that spot stays too long or becomes too big, it doesn't feel very good. I do have good news, though. The little spot of sadness, it's one of the only spots out there that we can help others with. We can help them find their peaceful spot. And we do that with empathy. So if you see someone that could use a friend, ask if it would be okay to sit there and listen to them. And you will help them find their peaceful spot. Teamwork. Sometimes you just need a little help to fix a problem, and your sadness goes away, and the confidence returns. Other times, we get put in a new situation or in a place that not only is sad, but scary, and our anxiety spot shows up too. When that happens, we just need a little compassion. Be somebody's friend. And last, when we experience that loss of a loved one, we need someone, companionship, someone to let us cry, help us feel better, and we bring love. In the end, it's friendship that helps people remove their sadness spot and bring back our happy, our peaceful confidence or love. Sometimes though, and we've been working on this in Children's Church, when we don't have someone to help us, what can we do? So I'd like you to imagine, look at the palm of your hand, and imagine a sad spot and a peaceful spot right next to it. And then you can take your other hand and repeat these words with me. Circle the spots in the middle of your palm. Count the swirls down to calm. Around and around and around twice more. 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Each time you trace around the spots, take a deep breath and calm your thoughts.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Bill.
And so it is.
So it is. Great job. Thank you. I'm going to use that one. Okay. Let us sing together, You Are the Face of God. Sounds like a duck. He's making a noise with a penny and it sounds like a duck. Go ahead. All right. I got all excited because I thought the goose was back, right? Okay. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you after church. All right. Thank you, Lacey. And as we settle ever deeper into our seats and into our being, let us breathe together and feel the grace of this great community. As we relax, let go, knowing we are safe. Together, we feel our hearts expand as we open to the words of our sacred reading.
Adapted from More Together Than Alone by Mark Nepo. Some might say that a dark, foreboding sense of despair fuels a plague of worldwide cynicism in which everybody is assumed guilty till proven innocent and sick till proven well. Dr. Stephen Toop, president of the University of British Columbia, has pointed out that one of our more urgent challenges is to engage the cynicism of our age. Cynicism is a cultural form of smog, dimming what is possible and clouding the best of our history. And now, no matter how intelligent its argument, cynicism is more a symptom of despair than a philosophical stance or resolve to be pragmatic. Just as damaging is ungrounded idealism, which jumps over the hard work it takes to be here together. Like an alcoholic who is one drink from his demon or one drink refused from his higher self. We're all one gesture away from being cruel or kind, What we do when our arm is raised, about to strike or soothe, will determine the next 100 years. Without denying the violence that scars the face of history, we can believe in the possibility of community. How might we embrace the past, yet move forward? How might we raise our hands in kindness? How might we live in the possibility of beloved community?
And so it is. And so in the spirit of beloved community, let us know that together we lift each other up, that there are great possibilities that are tapped into in this sacred sanctuary, not only in the sanctuary of this building, this physical space, but in the sanctuary of our hearts, that we can rise above any seeming negativity in the world and know that it is part of the process of unfolding, that it is part of a bigger picture of evolving grace and evolving goodness. And part of that evolution is recognizing and remembering that we are the I am. The I am, another word for God or spirit or love. This is the truth of who we are, and this is the truth of who everyone is. Even the people that challenge us, even the people that we struggle with. Everyone is part of that I am. And so today, let us know the truth that sets us free. Let us together sing, I am remembering who I am, to trust and know that great power unfolding in each of us, right here, right now, in this community as one. Together we sing, I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am in love, in grace, in goodness, in unconditional joy, we remember. We remember the I am presence as we breathe in deeply. And then exhale, opening our eyes as love, in love, and in service to what is, as it is. And so it is.
That's what it is. I wrote this song as a meditation about all the things that came together to make who I am and to find peace with that. And the title Iberia refers to my ancestors from the Iberian Peninsula. buried mirror in a far country. The rivers run backwards, the winds blow backwards, everyone goes backwards. There's a woman in stone, yeah. She's like the motherland, and she's looking at me, yeah, with a dove in her hand. Let's put the future in the past. We made it through this year. Let's run so fast that we disappear. Let the sun shine in on these old dry bones. Make the winds go backwards. Make everything go backwards. There's a girl in stone trying to make her peace with a buried mirror far across the sea, where the winds go backwards, where everything goes backwards.
Oh, Tim.
Okay. So I'm getting lots of thumbs up, and I don't think it's about me. I think it's perhaps about the music, because I really haven't said anything yet. So there you go. Right. Wonderful. Thank you. So today's message is about deep healing, and it's based on this book by Mark Nepo, More Together Than Alone. And I can't read the fine print from here, but it says, discovering the power and spirit of community in our lives and in the world. The power and spirit of community in our lives and in the world. In this teaching, based on many things, but a big influence in my life has been the teachings of Gandhi. And the folks at the Gandhi ashram say that we heal through inner transformation, that we heal the world through inner transformation. And so today is about transforming ourselves and yet transforming the world at the same time, understanding that there is cynicism. Cynicism exists, but we can move from cynicism to community, to beloved community, to quote Dr. Martin Luther King. And that my belief is that we move from cynicism to community through the practice of compassion, radical compassion, compassion that we didn't think was possible. Compassion for the person that you think is a big stinker in your head. Radical compassion, people. Sometimes I ask myself the question, things seem a little crazy right now. So is the world a bigger mess than usual? I didn't hear that, but I don't think I need to. Anyway. I think that the mystics would say, no, the world is always complicated. There's the Buddha, who is saying, as we speak, life is suffering. There's Jesus, who said there will always be poor among us. Now, he said that in the musical. I believe he said that in the Bible too, but there's that musical about his life. But anyway, there will always be poor among us. And I don't necessarily think he was speaking about people that don't have enough money or resources. I think he was also speaking about that there will be challenges in our consciousness that prevent us from receiving the goodness or the community of heaven on earth. And then that guy on the bottom, that's Vivekananda. Vivekananda, who says that we are not necessarily here to fix the world because the world will always have challenges. The world is like a gymnasium where we get to work on ourselves. That doesn't mean to be indifferent to the challenges of the world. It doesn't mean stop trying. That's what cynics do, right? They give up. But he says to continue to work on ourselves, to lead by inner transformation, and in so doing, lift the world up until the next time when we get to do it again. Because we don't wake up someday and we say, well, I've done all the healing. I'm completely healed right now. No, I'm sorry. If you thought you were going to get that here, you might as well just text somebody. We always work on ourselves, and it seems like sometimes the more we evolve spiritually, the deeper we have to go. Vivekananda wrote about the human condition, the world is a grand gymnasium wherein we take exercise to become stronger spiritually. Life is problem solving. Life is a puzzle. Think back to COVID. How many of you did jigsaw puzzles during COVID? How many of you did a ridiculous amount of jigsaw puzzles during COVID? Confess. And even if you didn't do jigsaw puzzles, if you do any kind of puzzle, any of those match 3 games or any problem solving, isn't it a joy when a problem is solved? When the puzzle is complete? When all the pieces are there? When your cat hasn't carried off one of the pieces and they're all there? We get to do that every single day of our lives. We get to solve puzzles. And it can be joy. And sometimes, if it's too close, it can be frightening or tedious. The human condition also involves a lot of comedy. Later on we'll talk about Shakespeare, who said, the world is a stage and the men and women on it are merely players. I just misquoted Shakespeare, and I'm going to hear that at home. But if you think about it, every sitcom, every play that's a comedy, it's poking gentle fun at the befuddlement that we humans experience here on the planet Earth, at the predicaments we get ourselves into. Did any of you see the Friends episode where Chandler didn't want to break up with his girlfriend, and so he lied to her and said that he was going to move to Yemen? And then she kept checking it, and he actually had to fly to Yemen, right? I mean, who among us has not struggled with getting out of a difficult relationship and done all kinds of contortions to try and do it in a way that helps us save the person being angry at us or upset? The human comedy is among us. To illustrate that fact, I'm going to invite a professional actor to the stage that may or may not be my husband. Last time I checked, he was. And as he's coming to the stage, I'll set up the scene. This is a scene from Seinfeld. And it's a scene where George is wanting to date the Asian woman sitting next to Jerry there. And he's telling Jerry, you're too funny. You're too funny. You cannot be funny. I want to be the funny one. She thinks I'm funny, so don't be funny. The woman sits down and says that she's late for their date, for their dinner, because it was her aunt's birthday and she needed to spend some time talking to her aunt about her birthday. And so the scene begins with this. This is Jerry, by the way. I'm the woman, okay?
Birthdays are merely symbolic of how another year has gone by and how little we've grown. No matter how desperate we are that someday a better self will emerge, with each flicker of the candle on the cake, we know it's not to be. That for the rest of our sad, wretched, pathetic lives, this is who we are to the bitter end, inevitably, irrevocably. Happy birthday, no such thing.
You're a very serious person, aren't you?
Well, with so many people in the world deprived and unhappy, it doesn't seem like it would be fair to be cheerful.
I understand.
Will you pass me the milk for my coffee?
I think it's curdled.
I don't care.
Do you ever laugh?
Not really. Sometimes when I'm in the tub.
That's so sad. What do you do?
I'm a comedian.
And scene. Good job. Thank you. So you see what I mean? I hope there was something relatable in that for some of you. But some days we just wake up and just like, yeah, happy birthday, no such thing, whatever. Who cares? I'm another year old. Oh my God, my birthday's coming up. Is this about me? Oh goodness. And it's funny. Maybe it's funny to God too, or whatever giant universal being is watching over us from within us. It can be funny. But how do we approach that in real life, even when things seem really dark, when there's a lot of negativity all around us? What do we do? Well, we're going to look at that today. And our purpose today is to befriend our human comedy, our human tragedy and our human comedy, which are one and the same, mixed together in a Mobius strip. To learn to choose compassion in the face of challenges and negativity, and also, in so doing, celebrate community, because we're all here to lift each other up and to be in community together. Not only this community, but the global community, the cosmic community, where people like Nadia Bolz-Weber say, there's only one category of people, and that is the children of God. What's at stake? Why do we do this work? This is from the Mark Nepo reading that Hugh did. What we do when our arm is raised, about to strike or soothe, will determine the next 100 years. Without denying the negativity that scars the face of history, we can still believe in the possibility of community. A short way of saying that is what we say here all the time. Ripples are real. And if we act in kindness, that kindness ripples out and blesses the entire world. We don't know where the ripple will go, but we can trust that it happens. So that's why we're doing this work. That's what's at stake. A good place to do this work is on social media. Some of you may not recognize that symbol. I say it's N for negativity. However, it is really N for Next Door View, which is an app. It's an app where people are supposed to inform one another about the happenings and the goings on in their neighborhood. However, it seems to be somewhat of a, how do you say, cesspool? Okay, is that what I heard? I don't know what I heard, but cesspool. It can be a bit of a cesspool, sort of a downward suck into something that we probably don't, where we don't want to be. What I've discovered on Nextdoor is that there's a lot of complaining about teenagers. Teenagers riding their electric bikes. Now, I admit that may be a problem. I've never been assaulted by a gang of marauding teenagers, but for some people it seems to be an issue, and I respect that, okay? The other thing that they talk a lot about is potholes on the street. Now, interestingly enough, we just had one of the streets in my town, Santa Paula, paved over, and it's beautiful. Oh my gosh, I drive down it for fun sometimes because it's so beautiful. And the contrast is what made it beautiful. But I haven't yet seen any word of praise about what they did to that street in Santa Paula. I love that street now. I'm going to put up a word of praise. Let's see how that goes, because I've tried that before. Okay, I'm being very negative, by the way, about Nextdoor. Just notice the irony here. The other thing that they tend to talk about, and this is the one that really sort of tears at my heartstrings, is mishaps with pets. For example, a missing pet. Yes. For example, a missing pet. For example, somebody that needs to rehome their pet. And the amount of shaming that happens when somebody puts up a post that is very vulnerable really, really pulls at my heartstrings. And I feel somewhat helpless in terms of what to do. You know, the thing that I think of all the time is that, you know, who of us with animals has not had a moment where we have lapsed in judgment and something unfortunate has happened to one of our animals? Maybe they didn't get lost, but maybe, say, you open the door, you're minding your own business, and your new kitten runs out, right? It happens. It happens all the time. Kittens make horrible choices, but we'll get more to that later. But thinking about this, because in every adversity, there is a seed for something greater. Thinking about this, it reminded me of a time that was years ago. It was years ago when I was in ministerial school, years ago, back when we used to write our sermons, we used to chisel them on stone tablets back in that day. Truly, it was before the internet, you know, before we were all Googling our sermons. But this is not a Chat GPT sermon, by the way. It's just... But it was years ago, and I still think about it. It's one of the few regrets I have in my life. One regret is that I didn't buy a house when I first moved to California. That would have cost me $100,000 back then. The other is this incident where I went to an animal shelter. I was dropping off a bird that our cats at the time had done something unfortunate to. It used to happen a lot. I had a room in my house called Audrey and Miranda's Bird Bistro, because they would catch birds and bring them in there and do what cats do. And so I brought in this bird to see if they could save it. And while I was there, this elderly gentleman brought in his elderly dog. And he said, "I'm surrendering her. I can't keep her anymore." I'm going to just change the picture because it's too traumatizing for me to have to look at this, and maybe traumatizing for you. This is a picture of some people in our church dropping off food, dog food, at a pet shelter. So I thought that might be a little more soothing. But anyway, this man dropped off this dog. And my regret is that I didn't say anything to him. Perhaps I could have done something. Perhaps I could have intervened, because I was sad about the dog, but I was even sadder about the man. He looked heartbroken that he was having to surrender his best friend. And so I was looking at this and regretting. And then somehow the regret turned into peace and reverence and humility. Because I realized, this was just the other day, I realized this thing that happened 20-something years ago. I realized that back then, when this man came into my presence and I didn't say anything, it was because I simply didn't have the vocabulary at that time. I was in a state of flux in my life. I was in ministerial school. I didn't know where we were going to end up. We didn't have dogs at that time, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't have the vocabulary that I've learned in this center from all of us working together in community, that even if you can't fix it, you can offer a word of kindness, or you can problem solve, or you can offer something. You can just offer something that gives support to the person who is in distress. And I realized in that moment, walking on the beach the other day, thinking back to this time, of how grateful I am to have this community where we teach this and we learn it and we work on it together. And the other thing that I realized, this in context, in the light of what I've just said about next door, the one thing that I realized that I did do that was completely appropriate, was I was able to sit with his pain and my pain without reacting negatively, without shaming him, without blaming him, without doing anything that would inspire more guilt that he was already feeling. You know, and I attribute that to growing up and learning about medicine and as a nurse, and learning through music, being in lots of operas where a lot of really bad stuff happens to people, and understanding that you can sing about your pain, and that people go to the opera to cry on purpose. And understanding also that through ministry, much of the job is walking each other home through the pain that we feel. And I was so grateful that for whatever reason, the factors of my life brought me to this place where I was able to sit with the pain of another person without moving into defensive snark. And I bring this up now because there are many, many, many opportunities in life to move into defensive posturing, where we are simply masking our own pain, simply trying to feel what we do not want to feel. This post came up on Facebook the other day from one of my friends. It says, if you're lost in the woods, start talking loudly about politics. Someone will come to argue with you. Oh, it's so true, isn't it? But it made me think, are cynics, critics, shamers, blamers, arguers, are they lonely? Are they lost in the woods? Are they feeling something that they don't want to feel? And yes, oh, absolutely yes, there is this strong urge within us to change the world, and that can be a beautiful thing. But when it devolves into something that is completely unkind, maybe these people are just trying to protect something that they feel is precious. And like me in the dog sanctuary, in the animal shelter, just don't have the resources in order to enact that in a way that supports the greater whole. My hope is that that invokes compassion, invokes the knowing that inside every cynical person is a disappointed idealist, from the wisdom of George Carlin. And when we understand this, when we understand that people who are doing things that we don't like, that perhaps they are just in pain and they don't have the vocabulary or the resources to act in a way that is pleasing to us, does this change our response to those who distress us? Maybe, maybe not. But if it doesn't for those people out there, perhaps when we look at ourselves and we see our cynicism or our negativity, or we feel that we're not doing it right, or we feel like we're not spiritual enough, or not smart enough, or not kind enough, when we're engaging in what I call the kindness Olympics of trying to outkind everybody. Nipun Metta, Gandhi, Jesus. Jesus. Maybe we have that understanding that we're just growing. We don't have the vocabulary or the resources yet, but we can learn them. Again, we are all animals showing up as love in distressing disguises. That is the famous picture of my cats, Batman and Catwoman, our kittens, our adopted kittens, trying to disembowel each other and bite each other's heads off. And what I've noticed, I said before that teenagers make really poor choices sometimes, as do teenage cats. They are teenage cats now. They do not know that it is not appropriate to climb into the dryer when I'm loading wet clothes in there. Should I shut the door rather, and turn it on? That would be very unfortunate for them. They don't know that when I'm standing by the door, waiting to let the dogs in and out, which they want to do 20, 30 times a day, that they should not take a flying leap and fling themselves at the door and then slide down. They think that it will help, but it doesn't. They make really, really poor choices sometimes, and all of their choices are about survival. You know, the trying to get out is looking for a bigger hunting ground. They know that in the wild, they need to broaden their horizons and hunt in a bigger space. The hiding in the dryer, their desire to hide in small spaces, sometimes unfortunately small spaces, sometimes spaces where we can't even get them out. This desire to hide is their desire to be able to go into a small space and then pounce on something, even if it's only my ankles as I'm walking by the sofa. All of their actions, all of their play is designed towards survival. And what if the same thing is true for us? That we're all just trying to survive. And some of our actions may be primitive, some of our choices may be poor, but underneath it all, we are all just trying to survive. Which brings me to my family reunion. I said it a couple weeks ago, I'll say it again. If you think you're spiritual, go home for a weekend and see what happens. Now, it was just a reunion with my three sisters and me. And, you know, granted, it was really actually lovely. And I don't want to talk ugly about my sisters because we really had a great time. So great that we're going to do it again. Okay, we're doing it again next year. They may come here. Woo. Woo. But they're not staying with me, I can tell you that right now. We're getting them an Airbnb, that's for sure. But the reason I bring that up is that moments after I got in the car, this is what I felt like. Right? 2 years old, yeah, young. We were all the Hess sisters back in our mother and father's home, scrambling, pouncing on each other, trying to disembowel each other, and all trying to survive. I'll give you an example. And this is not about me, this is about all of us, about our relationships with people and the subtext, the underlying messages that we're sending to ourselves and others all of the time. I like to tell this story, and I call it the story of the perils of distilled water. You'll get it in a minute. Whilst driving around with my sisters, all four of us in a car, in a confined space, in a car, I noticed that I was dehydrated from flying, and my sister had purchased all of this beautiful alkaline water that we were to drink, and it was at her home, and I realized that it was going to not be enough for me, that I wouldn't be able to share nicely with the alkaline water. And so I just said, as we were driving around, you know what, let's stop. I want to get a bottle of distilled water. Is there anything wrong with that statement? It seems rather benign to me, but it unleashed a 20-minute conversation about the perils of distilled water and the fact that I wanted it. One sister, the one who had bought all of the beautiful alkaline water, was like, she was trying to make sure that I was not trying to take care of her. She's like, you can have as much water as you want. And I'm like, nah, I really want distilled water. The other one was saying about how distilled water isn't good for you somehow, that all the electrolytes are stripped from it and you need those electrolytes. And the other one was, I don't know what she was saying, but she was in there somehow. And it was all telling me, Bonnie, do not get your distilled water. And when I look at that in hindsight, I see again, we're all trying to survive. This is the practice. The world is a stage, and we're all players, who are trying to survive. So in our own work and in my work with this situation, can we get specific about our subtext? Your subtext is what the actor, the character, is thinking during the scene, right? The actor makes a choice about what the character is thinking and then acts from that place. A good way to get in touch with subtext is to ask who, what, when, where, how. Who is asking for the distilled water? What does she want? She wants a dang bottle of distilled water. But on a deeper level, she also does not want to take up more space than she deserves. Because if I were to drink all the alkaline water that my sister had, what would happen then? Probably we would just go buy some more. But in my childlike mind, I did not want to take up more space than I deserved. When does she want the distilled water? Now, but also always. Wanting what we want, when we want it, always. Right? Where? Here. And how? All of the ramifications. I'll talk about their subtext now, in terms of this. All of these plots that we all have going on all the time. And another way to ask this that's shorter is just ask, what's at stake? If the sister who has the alkaline water doesn't allow me to drink as much as I want, then she's a bad hostess, and it is her job to take care of me and make sure that I am okay. Whereas I think that it's my job to take care of her and make sure that she doesn't have hurt feelings. The person who was concerned about the contents of the distilled water was legitimately concerned that I was hurting my body somehow. What's at stake? My sister's health. The third one, again, I don't remember what she was saying, but it was something along those lines. Something along wanting to be right. And that's what it came down to for me, is that I wanted my reality when I wanted it, and I did not need a lot of input on something that is benign, something that is harmless, something that I have the right to have, even if it does involve a short detour to Kroger, the grocery store. I noticed that about our family, is that we are constantly imposing one another's reality and saying, no, you're wrong for thinking that. No, you're wrong for thinking that. Well, you're really wrong because you just told me I was wrong, like that, kind of all the time. And it wasn't, again, it wasn't bad. We were pretty mindful and pretty good, but isn't that what's going on in life most of the time, is that you are wrong for thinking what you think. I will make you wrong for thinking what you think because it somehow scares me. I can say all kinds of names about you. I can call you all kinds of things, but what is happening is probably I'm afraid or lonely or afraid of being cast out. And it feels like all of that is at stake. So if we can get mindful about that, and if we can be kind about it, and if we can understand it, then things change. And to conclude the saga of the distilled water, what ended up happening was they went on for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and I was chiming in here and there, but mostly I just let them speak. And eventually I just said, you know what? I am going to make a decree. I was kind of thinking of the Bible, where Jesus talks to the centurion who asked Jesus to heal his son, and there's this or servant rather, and there's this whole thing about you can command armies to do what you want, and you can get people to do what you want. I felt, you know what? I'm a centurion. I can ask for what I want and not be ashamed of asking for what I want, and y'all can yammer all away. But here is my decree, people. Verily, I say unto you, I will go unto Kroger, and lo, there I will buy a bottle of distilled water, and I will live to tell of it. And I did say something very much like that, but it was done with a lot of joy and humor, and my family responds really, really well to humor. They can take it. So we learn the language of the people that may seem to be giving us a hard time, and we also have compassion for them. That's the thing. That's the thing, is compassion. Compassion aligns us with truth, because the truth is that everything belongs, and compassion is a manifestation, a way of expressing the truth that everything belongs. In the middle of that circle, there may be fear. That may morph into negativity, but that which encloses all of it is love, pure love. And what I've learned in the past couple of weeks from studying this, I'll say more about this another time, but from studying this idea that everything is in this circle of love, it brought me back to that idea of people doing pet shaming on Nextdoor View. And really, if I look deeply, if I can get past my discomfort from what I see as inappropriate behavior or unfortunate behavior, I can see that really what it is that they love animals, and they want animals to be safe. They're just like me in that tiny, tiny regard. And maybe if we act from that place, then life is better for all of us. And we do indeed create the beloved community. Rumi said it best, I think. Rumi said, love so needs to love that it will endure almost anything, even abuse, just to flicker for a moment. Another way you could say that is, love so needs to love that it will be almost anything, even a stinker, just to flicker for a moment. Even when love behaves badly, it's still trying to be love. It may be misdirected, it may be unfortunate, but if we can get past all of the cat-like behavior of trying to protect ourselves, trying to protect something that we think is at stake, which may or may not be. In fact, I would say it is not, because what we really want is divine love, and we are always divine love. If we can get behind that and rise into greater compassion, and that makes a huge difference. Like we said before, ripples are real, and that type of mindful kindfulness is what makes the world a beloved community for all of us. And so, let's read together. Our thoughts and actions matter. Today we acknowledge our shared humanity. We offer compassion to all, and we become the beloved community. And so it is. So it is, and so we let it be. Let us pray, Brother Chris. Here we go. All righty. Okay, so turning within, let's just breathe into this knowing of this divine presence and power that is the life that is spirit, that is the life of love and the life that infuses every aspect of our being. We know that this is who we are right here and right now. We don't have to be better to do this, to be this. We already are that. And as we realize more and more that we are this beloved divine essence, our actions, our thoughts, our behaviors start to follow suit. And we move into that place of extreme grace, knowing, trusting, feeling, sensing that love guides us in every action, in every thought. And more, our love, our guidance is to do that which is best for all, to move into greater compassion, to move into greater kindness, and to support ourselves with self-compassion and self-kindness. It is true that we do not allow people to bully us or to hug us inappropriately or to do that which causes us to feel unsafe, but we are able to say no in a way that is just and kind and fair and loving. Imagine with me a world where we are moving into this place of greater compassion and understanding. It may not be the whole world, but it can be our world. And as we love our enemies and bless those who curse us, let us know that this transforms us from the inside out. And the outer follows the inner. And when the inner and outer become one, then we have entered into the realm of heaven on earth, the community of heaven on earth. That is the truth of our existence. This place that is completely unconditional, that I can be, you can be, we can be, perfectly centered in love and kindness and joy, no matter what the external circumstances. And that from that place we can do what is most right for the most number of people. And so with a heart filled with gratitude and filled with love, I say thank you so much for this transformation. Thank you so much for this ongoing work that we do in this stage called Planet Earth. Thank you, divine love, for being and for being who we are. I am so grateful for this teaching and for all teachings everywhere, churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams, gurdwaras, fundamentalists, atheists, everyone I haven't named, just so grateful. And with a heart that is filled with gratitude, I say thank you, Spirit. Thank you, love. And I release these words into the divine mystery. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Bonnie. That
My
was
pleasure.
awesome.
My pleasure.
There was a word that was so prominent in what you said in the affirmation we repeated,
Yeah.
which is today.
Today.
And that idea of claiming this moment and every moment in that which we desire today.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hug me today, please.
I
Let's
wasn't
hug.
about to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you. But to ask and call it today
Yes.
and claim the moment.
Yes.
So, and there it is. Okay, good. So if we'll read together the affirmation about our foundation of funds.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So here we are. We trust, read with me. Yes, we trust,
We
in,
trust in
spirit,
spirit
Love is the giver and receiver of all that we are. We offer these gifts. They are an outer expression of our inner abundance and compassion. Our gifts bless many and return to us multiplied in miraculous ways, so that we may give again. And so it is.
Thank you. Thank you for circulating.
I'm as restless as a willow in a windstorm. I'm as jumpy as a puppet on a string. I'd say that I had spring fever, but it isn't even spring. I'm as starry-eyed and vaguely discontented, like a nightingale without a song to sing. I'd say that I had spring fever, but it isn't even spring. I keep wishing I was somewhere else, walking down a strange new street, hearing words that I have never heard from a love I've yet to meet. I'm as busy as a spider spinning dead dreams. I'm as giddy as a baby on a swing. I haven't seen a crocus or a rosebud or a robin on the way, but I feel so gay in a melancholy way that it might as well be spring. It might as well be spring. I keep wishing I was somewhere else, walking down a strange new street, hearing words that I have never heard from a love I've yet to meet. I'm as busy as a spider spinning daydreams. I'm as giddy as a baby on a swing. I haven't seen a crocus or a rosebud or a robin on the wing, but I feel so gay in a melancholy way that it might as well be spring. It might as well be. It might as well be. It might as well be spring.
Together. Today we choose to be love, to share love, to serve love. Thank you for our lives. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you, everybody.